Hi, and welcome to tonight. I wanted to talk about something that I found out. Another little bit of information from my whole genealogy line, because I'm Little Miss Researcher. I like to investigate. I should have been a private eye or private detective, but I didn't go to school for it, so whatever. But I found out through Spokio. I don't know why I didn't research Spokio before for my aunt. I didn't, though. I never did her name. I did a lot of people's names because I just like finding out information on people. Some people don't have anything out there, so you can't get any information on them. But they usually have the basics, like where you live. They don't always keep it up to date, so sometimes you have to question, but it'll have all the different locations that you've lived at. If you haven't tried it, go try it and do your name, because kind of funny. Just even doing that is kind of interesting to see what kind of information other people could possibly get on you, I guess. And you don't have to know their maiden name, you just have to know a name that they've used on their profiles. So whatever you feel they've done, just go and research them, and it never tells that person you've searched them, so it's anonymous. And Spokio is my favorite place to go look for things on people. That's what I did for my aunt, and I got information. I knew there would be a name of some kind, but I wasn't sure what her name, this infamous daughter that she had was. And I wasn't even 100% sold 100%, because my birth mom, she's not always reliable that way. So sometimes you have to take what she says with a grain of salt. A lot of people like to say this or that. So, I just kind of kept it in a little memory bank, and Isaac was even Ruby, that was my birth mom's name, said on her deathbed that my Aunt Margaret had a daughter that apparently was taken away from her, and that's why she left Grand Rapids, because she got taken away. So I don't know 100% the particulars on what happened, so I can't say that. Ruby never told me. My mom never told me, so I'm going on what she did say. And that was one thing. She didn't tell me the name either, so I don't know, which is weird because my birth mom always likes to say names of people. She named me Mona, and she would never let me forget that was my name. So, names to her was very important. So the fact that she never knew her name or said her name, maybe she didn't know it. Maybe my aunt named her. And her name, everybody, the name of this infamous possible sister, at least, because if my aunt had her, it would be a half sister, at least, is actually, would it be a half sister? No, it'd be a cousin, because of my relative. Yeah, it'd be my aunt's daughter, so it'd be a cousin. But it might have come from my birth mom, so it'd still be a sister, half sister, something. But her name's Stephania, so it's kind of a Hispanic name, which makes me realize more and more that this is very likely her, because the woman that talked to me on the bus spoke Spanish, and she thought I was that other girl. So the other girl looked like me. And I don't see a lot of people just going out and about that look like me. So I don't know why people think I look like somebody that I don't. But that's all I can think of, because I also looked up this Stephania likewise. That was her last name, because that's my aunt's old last name, what she used to have when she first married. Her actual maiden name is Hacks. So Stephanie, likewise, is her daughter. And it doesn't give an age, but it's from Redford, Michigan. So that's like what I have now to go on. And I don't see anything on a Stephania, like, online. Stephania likewise. Like, I don't see anything. So what I'm thinking happened was at the hospital, like, my Aunt Margaret named her and gave her a birth name. And that might have been her name when she was a young toddler and everything, when my aunt still had her. And I think what happened was maybe the system eventually realized we would catch on, and they had me and Johnny removed. So I'm thinking that they also had her removed, or like I said, possibly he could have actually touched my sister first, and she could have been molested as well by the molester that did me, and that could be why he was in jail for a little minute there, and then he was released. I don't know when Ruby met him. I don't know all the particulars of how they met, but apparently it might have been a good amount of time, because apparently he was comfortable enough telling me this and that. So I don't know when we met and knew about them. So I don't know if that was what happened, and she was taken away first, and then I was left, and then I was taken away. I don't know all the, like, I have to go and look up his actual, his records and see exactly what it says. I think it says anyone under 16. But I don't know if it was a child or if it was, like, just an older teen that he had messed with the first time. But I do know that he had been convicted of a child, so it must have been a child, because it said on my life book, it said that he had already been convicted of a child molestation, that Ruby was told not to leave him alone with me, and she did anyways. So the system told her not to, and she kept doing it. So yeah, I'm thinking it might have been something like that. Like, he already had my sister, so he wanted me to. I don't know. That's kind of nasty and sick, but it's a possibility, and it's maybe why he married my mother, because he felt like he had gotten both of us sisters, so why not? I don't know. All I know is there's something odd going on there, and I know that my aunt came and swooped down and took all the pictures from when I was little and the cassette tapes. Like, my birth mom would always have me, like, talk in this little cassette, and she would do that even when I was little, she said, and have me, like, say things and stuff when I was a kid. And so there's, like, she'd always have a bunch of cassette tapes laying around and stuff like that, you know, back in the days when we didn't just have, like, CDs and stuff like that. We had, like, cassette tapes, people. This is, like, old days. This is back in the 80s, so I'm ancient. But, yeah, I don't know, because she took all the stuff, so I have no proof. Like, that's what always happens to me, people. Like, everybody takes my freaking proof away, so what do you expect? If I get shit taken away and I don't have anything, how can I prove my point? You know, that's the thing people don't get. And it doesn't mean it doesn't happen and that it didn't happen. And for any of you who think that there's no such thing as this kind of thing, you don't read, do you? And you don't look at the internet. Because it's literally so easy to find cases where the children have been taken away. And one thing with my adoptive family that was kind of annoying is that they're acting like nothing happened and they would know. No, they wouldn't. They don't get that. I'm not trying to talk about them. Like, this has nothing to do with them at all. This is between me and my family, my biological side. This has nothing to do with my adoptive family whatsoever. I'm not even saying anything about them either which way. Like, this is literally me and my biological and the government. Okay, this was before, and this honestly happened before I even knew about them at all. So I wouldn't expect them to know. Like, they wouldn't know everything. They didn't even know most of my medical things back then. So I wouldn't expect them to know, like, all the government stuff that's happening, you know. It's a lot of stuff. And yeah, it happens. And yeah, even adopted families can be in the dark. It's not meaning that it's, any problem. It means that it's a system thing, and that it's about the government. And the fact that the government let me stay the longest of all those kids, like, that right there is an odd thing, because it's not even about race. And it's not about the fact that we were poor kids. Because my birth sister, my older birth sister, and my older birth brother were both removed before age 2, around there. And I stayed with Ruby the longest. I was with her for 4.5 years, people. In and out of the hospital, all the time. It said I was watched since, birth? They said the only one that they allowed to say that on was my chart. And when they left, they said, "Will be watched," because I was given to a mentally dull mother. And they said I would be watched while they jerked off. For 4.5 years, they watched me be molested, be malnourished. I mean, the fact that I was sleeping in my freaking mattress with my mom every night with the nasty males that she would have over. We had rats in our place, moldy food. I had to beg for freaking food. I was so malnourished, my gut was sticking out, and my hair was falling out. People don't get really the extent of what it was like. I know I'm nice now, I'm great now. I'm not talking about now, people. I'm talking about when I was a little kid. If you'd seen pictures, you'd understand. I was really, tore up for 4.5 years. They let me be in that situation. It had nothing to do with the poverty or my ethnicity, because they took away my sister and brother. And they're the same thing. They were poor kids, and they were minorities. Also, they took away Timmy right in 2 seconds. They wouldn't even give him to my birth mom. And John stayed with her for a year. So yeah, it's not just about ethnicity. It's not just about your freaking status in life. Because everybody else was the same way. Why were they taken away in 2 seconds? Okay, a couple years isn't 2 seconds, but you know what I mean. It's way different than 4.5, almost 5 years. It's way different. And I actually came and apparently told the nurse that I was being beat. And they still didn't do anything to help me. I was a little toddler, trying hard to tell and describe what was going on. Way better than those Me Too bitches that couldn't even say anything. And this is a little toddler trying to get help, and yet nobody cared. That's why I'm saying I literally had to be in the freaking bed being raped and molested and have some cop come and finally take me away. That's how extreme it was, people. That's the extent. And I know this video is probably going to be fucked up again because my voice is off, but you know what, whatever. I'm sharing my story. But that's what I'm talking about. And nothing happened to him with me. I still didn't get justice, and they saw me in the bed, or at least in the place with them alone. And that was against his parole. Why didn't they do anything at least to him? Even if I couldn't press charges, they could at least have done something to him for being alone with a child, a minor. They didn't even need me to validate it. The cop could have just said, yes, she and him were alone when the door was shut. What do you think we were doing, having a freaking tea party or something? He's a convicted child molester. He'd already done it. He did it after I was gone, and that's why he's been 10 years in jail. So yeah, people, he's nasty. And I didn't get justice even as a little child. But I think it's because the government was being more lenient, because they knew they were in the wrong. They were doing crap too. And I bet people knew about what was going on, and the government didn't want it getting out, so they just said hush hush and did little things here and there to keep themselves out of trouble. And I'm not going to be scared to talk about it, because a lot of people are bringing out what the government's done with these different odd twin tests. So, you know what, I'm going to bring out my side. And I do believe I have a twin. I think that's the only thing that explains all the weird crap that they're wanting to hide. And that even my aunt would hide all the pictures on me. There's pictures of me and my twin sister I want to see. I want to see the proof. Like, it's wrong to sit there and come and swipe all the crap knowing that you're just hiding it and covering this up. You're no better than the government then. So, Aunt Margaret, if you're watching, if you see these, just know that you're just as bad as the government that you bitch about. Because you're being hypocritical. And that's wrong. Like, to sit there and act like I'm not deserving to know my life, to know what happened to me, is just as bad as what the government did to the Native Americans.
Oh, by the way, Margaret, you're a disgrace to the Native Americans. You really are.
And I thought you were better. I thought you cared about our genetics and the fact that we came from Mescalero Apache. Well, Mescalero Apache would never let the government control what they say. They would fight because they have fight in them, like I do. I'm like Pocahontas. I believe in, keeping peace, but I also believe in whooping ass if I have to. And so I guess that part comes from a different Native American called Geronimo. He was very, stubborn and thick-headed. He would not give in. And that's the type that Johnny was, and that's what I am. I'm that type. I don't let no motherfucker walk all over me anymore. Shoot. That little part of me, that little doormat, she just had to do what she had to do. She knew she had to. Now, I'm back, and I'm going to stay. And I just want to get to my truth. You know, they say, be sure your truth will set you free. Well, I'm going to. And I don't care who I have to make uncomfortable. I really don't. Because everybody likes to make each other uncomfortable anyways. You know, the little people. But I'm not like that. I'm going to actually be real about it. But I'm going to find the truth still. And I got little bits of information here and here. You know, it all adds up though. It tells me that something's going on. That, I do believe the government could do something that's stupid because that's the government for you. And don't act like I'm one of those conspiracy theorists. You know, I'm not crazy in the head all the way. I do try to have some some sensibility and sanity about it. But I also am not opposed to believing something is possible. Especially when you're not told. Like, if things are hidden from you, then you're going to be a little more doubtful than the average person who knows everything or a good amount of things about their life. You know that there's possibilities of what could be. You know, Isaac could have a twin and not even know it. He was adopted in Vietnam. So, you know, it's possible. Things are possible when you're taken from your family and under odd circumstances. Okay, my circumstances were not an average, even for people that were abused. Most abuse victims and their whole family is taken at one time. Not little bits here, little bits there. You know, and supposedly my adopted family could have taken, you know, even Timmy and stuff, but Aunt Margaret got him. So, you know, Aunt Margaret also could have had me and Johnny, and their excuse is that the husband was a racist. I almost think it was a different reason. I almost wonder if it's because one of us was with her already. Because he did not seem racist to me. He seemed just fine when I was in a picture with him. Most racist people don't even want to be around you. And if it was truly that racist, then Margaret would probably have just met up with Ruby and would never have let her come over and be at the place. So I don't see him, I think his name was David or something. I don't see him being racist. And I actually think there was another one named Michael George likewise somehow. I think that was her actual husband though. But she had multiple husbands, so she might have had that might have been a different one. I don't know. I don't like know every single one, but it's like she had like, I think she might have had 3 then. Because she had Likewise and she had David something. I don't remember his last name. And then, well, her son was named Adam, and then she had that Hebda. That his name's Hebda. I don't remember his first name though. But Likewise, Hebda, and David, whatever his name. Maybe David was the Hebda one. David Hebda. I'll have to look into that too. But I know she had, her last guy was Hebda something, or must have been Hebda because that was her name now. So, yeah, that was like my little amount of what I did and investigations and everything. And I'm hopeful that I find out some information. I'm going to be waiting until next week, probably near the end of next week. And I'm going to, I think it would be next, yeah, at the end of next week. I'm going to get Spokio restarted on my account, and I'm going to really look into who Stephania is and her age. Hopefully it'll give me an age of some kind, or at least a birth year or month or something. And I can have some idea of who she was. And it'll be nice to have Spokio back anyways. But I think that's my sister, at least her birth name. Like, all of us females, though, were born with actual different names than we were when we were adopted. But we all chose Lisa Marie. Because she, I think, even was Lisa Marie. I think the other one was her. I think she's from now in Allegan, and that's why it doesn't have her birth year or anything about her age. Because usually Spokio has an age, and that one doesn't. So I'm thinking that's why she doesn't have an age, because she changed it. I'm going to look and see if my birth name was on there too, and see if it does the same thing for me when you change your name, you know, and see what it does. And if it does, then I'll be like, wow, then that probably is why she doesn't have it, because she was adopted. And maybe she was adopted and changed her name to Lisa as well, and that was the Lisa I found. So wouldn't that be cool if it all like connects finally, and it is what I think it is? Like, I'll be ecstatic, people. I'll be so like I got a twin sisters. Like on Twitches, twin witches. We're twitches. I like that movie. I've always been fascinated by twins, probably more than the average person has. So I don't know. And if my aunt does have pictures of us, I'm gonna get some and post them on my stuff, because that will be my sister and me. And maybe we were in little pictures together. That would be kind of cute. That might show why we were even more so into that stuff, and why they milked more on it, because they had twins too. That would be kind of extreme, but, you know, it would be famous. And maybe that's why my mom always told me I'd be famous one day. Maybe because she knows. I guess that would explain it. Well, everybody. Oh, and also, I'm going to be, when I lose my weight, I'm going to be getting a swimwear from Unique Vintage Swimwear online, and I already looked through some of their bikinis. You guys are gonna be so stoked to see me in a bikini when I get that bod that I always wanted. I'm gonna show it off. Shoot. Yeah, I am. Hell yeah. That's why you do all the work, so that you can reap the benefits of your beautiful bod. And I know I'm somewhat okay looking. I do have that ideation in my head, but I have to look like bomb. I have to overdo everybody. And I'm always been competitive by nature, so you put a task to me and I will try with all my heart to do what I can to get to that level. Don't worry, I won't go too extreme, but I will. I'm going to be competing with models, you know, so your girl's got to step up her, like, this little thing I got is not going to work. I got to get better, and I'm going to, so I'm excited, and I hope you are too, to see me so sexy this summer. I might actually go to the beach this time. I'm nervous. Oh my gosh. Wish me luck. Well, see you in the funny pages.